Getting ready to start recording. Here we go with YouTube. And we are going live audio for the podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros.
We are in the house today. Happy Friday for anybody who's out there watching us live. Zabi and who else we see, Austin. We love you guys.
Zabi says y'all went to
high
school together. Elementary, middle school. What's up? All right.
Small world.
Gotta love it.
So
he's a hustler.
Dude, he's got a lot going on, man.
Yeah.
Like his mind is always going. It's always racing. I had him come over twice. He's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then one time when he came, podcast is like at 4:00.
Right.
He didn't leave till like 8:00. Like we sat and like we talked on all kinds of stuff about all kinds of different levels in business. It was
tight.
Dude, it was good. It was good times.
All right, for everybody listening on the podcast side of it, we already did this on Facebook Live, but welcome everybody to the show. Thanks you all for listening, downloading. Really appreciate it. Please subscribe and leave us a review. Would really love that and appreciate that. It'd get us higher on the ratings. But for the show today, we have Mr. Ty Cason-Davis over from Dean Aguilar Group. How did you put it?
Leveraged by Xavier Dean Realty.
Leveraged by Xavier Dean Realty. Gotta love that. So thank you very much, Ty, for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Dude, Dean is amazing. The content he's putting out keeps everybody on their toes.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever is not involved in the Dean Aguilar Group is all benefiting from the stuff that he's putting out there.
Yeah,
but I'm curious to know, as an insider, you guys get the little extra edge. Like, we get the little snippets, the 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of what Dean's putting out there that are gems in and of itself.
Yeah.
But you get the daily contact, the holding your feet to the fire,
right,
the figuring out why you're in this business. Like, he drills down on you guys. So can you shed a little bit of light on, what it's like being in the Dean Aguilar Group.
Yeah, it's great. And like you said, we get the little gems. We have Monday meetings. We meet on Wednesdays and Thursdays as well. And so he'll drop knowledge every now and then. He keeps us accountable by we have a group text going on. So like every night we get a text. So if we're not on our toes, he kind of keeps us in line. It's not micromanaging, but it's accountability, and that's a lot of what goes into real estate. It's a lot about what goes into business if you're an entrepreneur. So he definitely keeps us accountable. And man, he's always so cool. He's just he's like calm, collected, but he has so much going on. He has his motivational stuff. He has his real estate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he has some other stuff that I don't even know about. So it's an inspiration just being around the whole team, not just Dean, but around the whole team. It's a really cool experience.
I had Dean on the podcast before, and he told me a little bit about the type of people that he looks for to be part of the Dean Aguilar Group.
Yeah.
And we sat down and kind of did a role play. And in that little role play, he's basically trying to get out of the person that he's interviewing on why they got into the business in the first place.
Right.
What is it that you want to get out of this business, and why are you doing this? So I'm curious, what did that conversation go like with you?
When Dean first asked me, and I've been in the real estate business for a while now, and when it was first brought to me, like the why, what's your big why? I really didn't know. When I spoke to Dean originally, I still really couldn't grasp onto it. I took some time to do a deep dive, and think about it. And for me, it's just to be able to elevate people. Whatever that means for that individual person, to elevate them, and at the same time, I get to elevate myself, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's financially, mentally, etc. I get to elevate myself along with elevating other people. So, that's my why, because there's nothing, when it comes down to it, there's nothing really better than that, No,
100%. Like, one of the sayings I like to follow is you can have everything you want in this world if you can help enough people get what they want.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's really what this business is about, is helping enough people at a high level, to get what it is they're looking for. When a buyer comes to you, or when a seller comes to you and they're asking you for your help, it's not just they're going to pay you and you're going to do, stick a sign in the yard or show them a couple houses. There's more to it.
Right.
There's a lot more to it. And if you do treat it like a transactional event, then you're going to have 1 or 2 or 3 transactions and you're going to be done in this business. But if you want to build a career going forward, you got to bring to the table something that you elevate them, you educate them, you show them an experience that's like no other,
Right.
so that they talk about you going forward. What's been your experience like so far of transitioning from where you were in a previous brokerage to where you are today? What helped you? What improvements have you made that you think have propelled you?
I think grasping on to what you just spoke about in regards to the transaction, because when I first got into it, to be honest, like I didn't know what my why was. I knew I wanted to elevate myself personally, and so originally that's kind of a little bit what I was going for, to kind of get the deal done, and so I could elevate myself personally. But then I started to dive a little deeper, and the transaction became more than just that, more than just elevating myself. It became this experience, and I had to take a step back because I was so this tunnel vision of myself personally. But I took a step back and I looked at people around me and their experiences with real estate, excuse me, foreclosures and all of this crazy stuff that people have to deal with on the day to day. And so this real estate transaction, it goes in waves, emotionally. And so I kind of partnered up with my clients and kind of try to make it as seamless as possible, so that when they look back, 5-10 years from now, they remember the experience. A lot of clients don't remember who their realtor was, and probably my first 2 deals, they have no idea who I am, it's because I didn't approach the transaction the way I currently do. So I think all my clients, my past few clients and, moving forward, all of them are going to remember the experience because it was seamless, and I kind of, I did guide them in a way that, again, elevated them in the lifestyle they wanted to achieve, or whether it's financially, if it's an investment, etc.
Dude, when you get into a new industry, right? When you start to, I don't know what you were doing before, but when you get into the sales world, it really does get a negative stigma because there's a lot of people who are going just after the commission. Right. But what we like to say, what I know Dean talks about in his stuff, is you're over here bringing a certain amount of value to the experience, right? They're hiring you because you're showing them the value of what it is to have a professional on your team. Right. They're there because they need somebody to help them, but the way that you get the referrals is you're showing them the value that they can appreciate. Right. What is different for you now that you weren't doing before? What is that value that shows them that you're a different level, that separates between the first 2 deals that you did compared to the deals that you're doing now?
I think I used to always sell people, especially from the buy side. I would sell them because I thought that was my job. It wasn't really ever explained to me, or it was explained to me that kind of was my job, but that's definitely a part of it, especially if you're representing the seller. If you're the listing agent, you got to sell. You got to market, advertise. Mm-hmm. But if you're representing the buyer, I used to sell. Now I inform. I inform. There's a lot that goes on in a transaction, and laws are always constantly changing. People just aren't aware of these things because they don't. It's something, unfortunately, we don't learn in school. We don't learn about taxes, real estate, etc. So all of this stuff people aren't informed about. And so I try to come from now when we talk about value. I take that as informing the client. So again, for me, it's always 5-10 years from now. I don't want them to look back and regret their experience or regret the transaction that they made.
Perfect. That's what I was trying to drill down on. Yeah. What elevated mean? What you mean by elevate? Right. And that's exactly what I was trying to hint you at. Is that's what it's about, right? It's about informing them. It's about educating the client. You're right. We don't know. Nobody's really been taught these types of things, and that's one of those things. When you talk about like leveling the playing field, I'll give you an example. So in my classroom, I teach 17-year-olds, high school seniors are about to graduate. Mm-hmm. I teach a course called Financial Algebra. Okay. In the last few weeks of school, the last chapter that we do is on budgeting and income statements, cash flow management, right? Yeah. So rather than teach it out of the book, I play a board game by Robert Kiyosaki called Cash Flow. And I bring out, I have 7 different boards and have the kids play the game. And they get to the point where they're struggling in the game, right? And so what I had one kid specifically, he's academically, he's the top of the class, right? This kid was, I mean, should he be in this class? I don't know. He should be taking like AP calculus or something, right?
Right.
But when I brought out the board game, it completely leveled the playing field. It was no longer about how book smart you were. It's about, do you understand how money flows?
Right.
And if you can understand how money flows, then it's going to make sense for you.
Right.
And so he was getting frustrated with the game because he kept saying, this keeps happening to me. I get expenses, or I keep having a baby, or life kept happening to him. And we had to kind of shift his perspective on things. And I don't know if he's quite got it yet, but I know I guaranteed him by the time we finish this section, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But what I explained to him was, you're not upset because that stuff's happening to you. You're upset because we've leveled the playing field. And now the kids that weren't as academically astute as you are kicking your butt.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, there's not very many things in life that level the playing field.
Right.
But life itself, to me, the opportunities out there in real life are a level playing field. If you are able to educate yourself, or if you're the type of person who can elevate somebody else
Right.
to help give them that opportunity to see what's in front of them as an opportunity rather than an obstacle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What other things what do you think about that whole level playing field?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, if you when it comes to real estate speaking, you have to have the money first of all, but you have to be able to budget to get to the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that game that you play is great. I wish at least when I was growing up, there were more teachers that put that into schooling. But yeah, I definitely agree. It's when it comes to real estate, it's you can think about the courtroom, right? If let's say for example, I have a lot of money. And we're suing each other. I have a lot of money. You don't have a lot of money. You get a public attorney, and I get the best lawyer in town, right? So it's even the court system is not a level playing field. But with real estate, everyone's paying the same price, right? Especially as a buyer, you're not really paying commission. The seller is. But even as a seller, if you hire a real estate agent, you're all going to be paying about the same commission. It's just who you pick determines kind of the playing field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think real estate is one of the most level playing fields out there, because if you pick the right representation, you can elevate yourself to the point that you want to be at.
I like that comparison, because in a courtroom, you have to pay for your representation.
Right.
Right? You literally have to pay for that high price attorney.
Right.
Whereas in real estate, you can choose the guy that you would be paying a lot for, but not have to pay for it.
Right.
But I think that comes down to being able to educate the public in that aspect, right? Because as a buyer's agent, you're right, you're not being paid by the buyer themselves.
Right.
Although I think that's changing personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be coming to, I think we're going to have a big oh crap moment when it comes to the real estate world. I got an ad the other day from Redfin,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, hey, we got this home for sale. Check it out. If you have any clients, come show it. By the way, it says it right there. We are not paying buyer commissions. You need to negotiate your buyer commission with your buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
Whoa.
that's not a common practice, right? Normally what happens is the listing agent negotiates a commission amount up front, the 6%, then it gets split,
Right.
whether you split it evenly or not, it's whatever, but it gets split there, and so the buyer's commission is paid from the seller's side. Right? That's normally how it works. But I fear that things are going to start to change, because these are little trendsetters. What do you think about, and I think in that case, that might unlevel the playing field. What do you think?
I think I made a short video on my Instagram about Redfin agents, and I think Redfin agents, Purple Bricks, all of that, they're trying to be disruptors within the field of real estate, within the industry of real estate. Just like with Uber and Lyft with taxis. Taxis are going extinct, right? Everyone I know uses Uber and Lyft.
Absolutely.
So I think Redfin and places like Purple Bricks, all that, they've been in the game for a long time. People just started to become aware of them, but they've been in the game for a long time. And They're not doing what Uber and Lyft have done to the taxi industry, and the reason they're not doing that is our value conversation, right? They're not providing value. They're not negotiating, right? For sure, because they tell you the price up front. So they already don't want to negotiate. They're just hands up, I'm not going to negotiate. And so you talk about the buyers, the ad that you saw, they're trying to disrupt, but if you don't, they haven't been able to knock out all of the big brokerages. How long have they been in business? 10 plus years now. It hasn't happened. Uber did it. Lyft did it within like 2-3 years, because
Netflix,
they provided the value, right? You call a taxi, it might not come, it takes forever. There's all kinds of value with Uber and Lyft, but the value, and people see it when people use Redfin, Purple Bricks, etc. They're not getting the price that they wanted. They're not getting the experience they wanted. They probably look back, 5-10 years from when they made that transaction and regret it. So they basically, the bottom line is they're trying to disrupt. They're just not doing a great job of it.
Yeah. Well, it also depends on the market, because I don't know how long you've been in the industry, but we were buying property back in 2003 when the market was like super hot, and so as we got closer and closer to the bust, there were companies just like this doing the 1%. I remember seeing iPay1, right? These companies have been around for a while, and they work phenomenally well when the market's super hot. But as soon as things change, then the value again, what you're teaching the client, the value that you bring to the transaction, the education that you bring to the table speaks volumes, right? That's the reason why we're paid what we're paid as agents. That's the reason why you're worth that much, right? Because when it comes down to it, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure you were trained the same way, because you guys over there at Dean's Group, right? But when we talk to a client, for example, at the listing table, we talk about net to the seller, right? We talk about this is what you're going to net at the end, because it's about what the client gets. We are all about what the client is going to get in this transaction, whether it's service, whether it's value, whether it's net at the end of the transaction, but all about them. And then the commissions, well, that's just the piece of the puzzle that's built in, right? So yeah, I think you're right. That was a great answer, by the way, because I didn't know how you were going to take the whole buyer's agency disappearing thing.
Oh, for sure.
Can we take a quick pause here?
Yeah.
We'll just want to, we didn't do this at the beginning of the show, so I just want to take a moment to remind everybody that we have these 365 pairs of shoes. You can see them in the background there. 365 pairs of shoes that we're still waiting for, still trying to collect from everybody. So please, if you can find it in your heart, if it is something that you're able to do, give us a call, 619-884-0045, or james@csfirst.com. That's me directly. I will write out and pick up those shoes if you can't get them to us. Got no problem doing that. Also, May 22nd,
Liberty Station, developing your investment strategy. Help you come up with solutions, because again, it's all about bringing value. That's a good segue back, by the way.
Yeah. Well, your tagline on that one.
Oh yeah, it's because retirement is not an age problem; it's a cash flow problem. As soon as you solve the cash flow problem, you buy yourself the time that you're looking for. All right, so May 22nd. I mean, but that's what it's all about. Everything that we do in life, everything, whether it's a real estate transaction, whether it's an event like that, whether it's donations for the poor, it's value that you're bringing to the table.
Right.
And that's one of those things that those Redfin agents, the Zillow instant offers, all those different things, they are a solution to a very niche problem.
Right.
But the real estate agent today needs to understand that they are not that niche. They can have a value add, which is to add to their repertoire the ability to do, piecework, or their ability to do an instant offer at the same time. But the value that the agent brings to the table is the education that they bring to the client. It's that extra value add, right?
Right, for sure. What I was thinking of when you were talking was, have you ever gone anywhere and had service where they didn't accept tips, where they were salary based?
No,
have you ever traveled to like Europe or anything?
No.
Okay, so have you?
He's gone to Europe.
Yeah.
Have you ever ate at a restaurant where they don't tip?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and over there in Europe they don't, because they actually pay their people a living wage, if you will.
For sure. How was the service though?
It was good.
It was good?
Yeah, I mean, it was all right.
It was all right.
Well, Europe is kind of a different animal generally anyway. They are maybe not so much like in like London, but in other places, especially in France where we were, in Paris, Italy, I've heard stories that it's just a slower pace in general. So, you walk into a restaurant, you're not expected to be rushed out the door like if you go to B-dubs down here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've asked that question before, and the common answer that I'll get back is, it wasn't, now that I think about it, like it wasn't that great, compared to here or compared to anywhere else where you're tipping. You're tipping based on the service, based on the value, based on everything that was provided, right? So the server has an incentive to give you great service, to give you great value, right? Now, so compare that to like the Redfin models and things like that. If you look deep into the Redfin model, they're salary-based agents. So if you're a salary-based agent, you're going to get the annual salary regardless, so why, if I'm that agent, like, why am I going to give you tons of value if I'm going to get paid the same thing regardless? Where commission, how most brokerages are, it's commission based. So I don't get paid until the job gets done and until I give you the value that you want and expect. If I don't get the job done the way that you wanted it done, I don't get paid. So I don't think there's anything that can compare to that. When you talk about the Redfins and the Purple Bricks, if they're not, again, it's not all about the money and the commission, but you have to be motivated in some other way. If that some other way is taken off the table, then what is there left? Why? And you see that they're not providing the value. I mean, we get clients all the time from people that talk to a Redfin agent, but they asked a question, they just kind of stumbled over their toes. They always have to go back and ask, and clients want the answer right then. And if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the value, then you're not going to succeed. And that's why I think that this disruption is just it's not working for that reason and for others.
I'll give you. I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you here. Cool. So let's assume that yes, the Redfins or the whatever these small little brokerages, the Purple Bricks, that they're gonna come and go like they usually do, right?
Right.
However, buyer's agency is victimized here. So let's say, for example, as a listing agent, you see Purple Brick doing that and saying, you know what, we're not going to pay it, or they negotiate down and they're like, you know what, from now on, we're going to pay buyer's agent commissions 1%. Mm-hmm. And that starts becoming something that's normalized. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a Purple Brick agent or not, now you start seeing listing agents like, okay, well, look, I did my work. I negotiated my commissions up front.
Right.
So I negotiated 6%. I'm going to do a split. I'm keeping 5%. And I'm gonna put 1 out there for buyers agents. Mm-hmm. How do you think that would affect the game? Because really it comes down to whatever the listing agent puts out as this is what we're splitting. They'll put it, blatantly forward in the MLS. You already see it happening with a 6% commission being split 4 and 2. Mm-hmm. I've seen that quite a bit.
Yeah. So
what's to say it doesn't keep going down? How do you think that's affecting buyers agents? Going forward, do you think that's a trend that's going to keep happening? Or is it going to switch?
Well, I have seen the trend in total commission go down, and I think that honestly I think that's fair, But when it comes to the split between seller's agent and buyer's agent, I don't see that trend continuing because when you take a look at the market, there's so if a buyer's agent out there has a list of 20 properties to go and visit, right? Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate, right? But at the same time, it's human nature. So if you see that you're gonna get, $2,000 more dollars or $5,000 more dollars on, property A versus property B, you're gonna put property B at the bottom and show them the A properties, and that happens all the time. And when you see that 2 point to the buyer's agent, buyer's agents aren't showing them those properties as frequently because buyer's agents do a lot of work, so why would they go to that 2 when they can go to the 2.5 or the 3? And you see those properties at 2 not selling at all, or not selling as quick or for the price that the seller wants, versus the other properties that are at 2.5 or 3. So I don't see the trend existing because the sellers aren't satisfied when their listing agent puts a 2 or a 1.5 for a buyer's agent.
I'm gonna keep playing devil's advocate just because it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so what if I argued this? What if I said, well, check it out. When I have a listing, a listing that's going to be on the market, do you know how many buyer leads I get by holding an open house there? Do you know how many buyer leads I get by having my sign posted in the front? So who's to say that if I just do a better job of marketing and creating a database of buyers, that I even need a buyer's agent? Because I can have an in-house buyer's agent soliciting to my own buyers. Mm-hmm. And then to double that one, well, you know what? Let's go with that one first. What do you say about that?
Well, I mean, I would argue against that because in that particular scenario, it sounds to me at least that you're stating as a seller in that situation, right? Mm-hmm. So as a seller, you're saying that, I have an open house. I have tons of people coming through. I put a sign up. I get, calls, right? So people coming through the open house, I forget the exact percentage off the top of my head, but I think it's
very minimal, the ones that actually buy.
1 or 2% of people that come through an open house actually buy that property or a property. A lot of people that come through an open house are usually, neighbors. They're looking at the kitchen design. They're looking at the remodel because they're trying to get ideas for their property, across the street. So I would, argue against that from that perspective. And then the sign, with the sign, you're only going to get, the people in the close vicinity that, make a wrong turn on that street or that live on that street. If you're not marketing it, you're not going to get very many people. You may get some calls from realtors because they're driving around the communities all the time. But you're not going to get a lot of calls unless it's from the general community. Maybe 15 people at the most, I would say.
All right, I'll take it another step further. So why do I need a buyer's agent? I could Zillow's going to be a broker here soon. So they're going to have access to the MLS, whether we gave it to them for free or not. They're going to have access to the MLS. So I'm a client. I mean, I'm a person looking to buy a home. I could literally shop every single home I want to on places like that. Or if I'm working with the different listing agents that I see, I can go to their IDX websites and get all the information I need. Right. So do I actually need a buyer's agent, right? In other words, if I'm doing all the work and finding the place myself and I'm only paying an agent to open the door for me, is it really worth it for a listing agent to provide such a big split?
Well, so you're saying you're paying the agent to open the door for you, but really behind the scenes and also in front of you, what the buyer's agent is doing is not opening the door is like 1% of what a buyer's agent does. Buyer's agent keeps you from getting sued. Everyone knows California is sue crazy, so buyer's agent keeps you from being sued. They keep the transaction process going along. They make sure they're up to date with the laws, so they understand, what needs to be done to not be sued by the seller. And it's after property goes off market, after property or sale price is accepted, you go through escrow, you can be sued after that process. So they're preventing you from being sued. Yes, they are opening the doors for you, but they're your negotiators. And these are just a few things. They're your negotiators, right? So in that example that you're using, you were saying, I can just go to the listing agent, the agent representing the seller, and just use them. So if you use them, who's negotiating for you? You as a buyer want the best price. You want to save money, right? Because if you pay, $20,000 over, that's going to affect your monthly mortgage payment by hundreds of dollars. So if you don't have that hundreds of dollars and you want that property, who's negotiating for you? Is it the agent representing the seller initially? You think they have your best interest at heart? Or do they have the seller's best interest? And the seller can think the same exact thing. Are you just trying to make everyone happy and appease both parties, and neither party is really in the end getting what they want? So if you do it that way, you don't have anyone on your side, which if you're going to make the biggest transactional purchase of your entire life, literally,
wanna
why
make
don't
sure
you
have a
want
good
someone on your
attorney
side?
on your
Yeah,
side.
you got to have
That's
someone
right.
on your side.
That's right. No, dude. I'm glad you had all kinds of good answers because I wasn't sure how this was gonna go. I was like, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and see what happens.
Oh, I reel through it all the time. When I'm in the morning, take a shower, I'm like, what? And then I play devil's advocate with myself, and I think through these things, and they're true. It's not like I'm.
Yeah.
Can you curse?
Yeah. No.
It's not like I'm bullshitting people, right? I think through the scenario, and I approach it just like a real person, and all of this stuff is true. I'm not bullshitting and selling people. It's all true, but I think about these objections all the time, which is what you have to do if you want to be successful in your business.
You do. Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I don't know whether or not buyer's agency is going to go. I just know that this is out there and it's a possibility. So my biggest thing to agents, any agent out there, is learn to become a better listing agent, because that's where the control is. Should we have buyers that we're working with? Heck yeah, buyers need help. Right. There's a lot of people who need help buying stuff. And like you said, like you were playing, the other side here, there's a lot of value that a buyer's agent can bring to the table.
Right.
My concern from a professional standpoint, from a business standpoint, is if that does dissipate as far as commissions value or something, then you need to also learn to become a strong listing agent and know how to acquire listings. Because as a business practice, that's where the control is. Right. At that point, you're negotiating how much you're being paid up front, and you're not dependent on what the split is. Right. So, hey, man, thanks a lot, dude.
Yeah, no
Very
problem.
good conversation.
No problem,
I loved
no
it.
problem. Thank you.
Just a quick reminder. May 22nd, we do have that event. You can find it at Business Bros Pod. Go ahead and go there. Click on the event. You can go to csfirst.com, click on the events tab, and you can get tickets there too. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, but come by, learn a little something. Let me play devil's advocate with your situation. You never know what you're going to learn, right? It literally puts thoughts in your head where you really have to think through the scenario and just ponder what if, right? What if? And if you don't ponder the what if, you're never going to have a solution for it, right? All right, Ty, dude. So, last question. Who do you think would be a good guest to have on the podcast?
Good guest. Probably say, does it have to be real estate?
No, it doesn't have to be real estate.
Troy Anderson. Troy Anderson, he's a finance guy.
Okay.
And then I'm stumbling because I can't remember his last name, but Adrian Ewings, I think. Went to high school with him. Went to high school with both those guys, actually.
Damn, what high school did you guys go to? Just putting out talent.
SPA.
Really?
Yeah, talent
SCPA?
high school. Performing Arts High School.
Dude,
Wow.
yeah, my wife graduated from there.
That's so funny, dude. Right there in PH.
Yeah. It's either performers or hustlers. It seems like out of that school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? Me personally, I think is that when you're a performer, you're confident in talking to people.
Right.
So that's huge when it comes to the sales industry.
Right.
I mean, you're literally putting on a show all the time. They just don't know that the show's your life, but you're putting on a show every day.
Right.
And if you're comfortable being on stage in front of people, you're rocking it. That's cool, dude. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's awesome. So yeah, we'll tag them, and then when you see it on the social, just tag them. Be like, dude, hey man, you're next, bro.
Yeah. Adrian Ewings, I think is his full name. He's a finance guy too.
Perfect.
It's we talked about budgeting, all the stuff they don't teach you in school. Talk to these guys because you have to get your money right.
You have to. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not in a position to buy.
Right.
You're wasting away rent money. You're paying somebody else's mortgage.
Right.
We want to get you in there. Doing it yourself, right?
Paying someone else's mortgage. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
30 years from now, you can have a house paid off and you don't have to pay anybody's mortgage or rent.
Right.
Just saying, right? Wouldn't it be nice?
Someone can pay yours.
Someone can pay yours. I love that.
There you go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ty, thanks a lot for being on the show, man. Thanks a lot for playing the other side, dude, because I didn't know how I've never done that before. And I was like, if I throw some hard questions at him, I don't know how he's going to take it. But you did good, man. You did good.
Last thing, really quickly, tell everybody how people can get in touch with you. You have a little banner right in front of your screen.
Okay, perfect. So it's on Instagram is the best way. Full name Ty Cason-Davis without any spaces. TICASONDAVIS. Make sure you click below. You can Facebook me. You can text me 619-806-0133. Thanks, guys.
Perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you follow us on our social medias at Business Bros Pod, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat too, but I don't really use it that much. But you can follow me there. Send me a snap. I'm good with that. And make sure you guys subscribe. Hit us up on YouTube. Find us. We haven't been pushing it, but we have like over 100 episodes there. So go ahead and go there. Hit subscribe. We're gonna start putting some more content and be on the lookout, because very soon my music video is gonna drop. Old Town Road parody. I am such a goofball on that one, but hey,
super goofball, but it's great.
It's just putting out content, right?
Yeah.
If I make you laugh, you have to share it. Is that the deal?
Good deal.
Good deal. All right, that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
And I'm out. Thanks,
Boom.
Facebook.
Thank you very much, Facebook. We love y'all.
Good job, dude.
Cool. That was fun.
That was cool, man. I honestly, dude, I didn't know for sure. I was like...